The beauty of New Zealand has been celebrated for over 1,000 years. From her splendid harbours and glorious beaches to her rugged mountains and wild landscapes, New Zealand is a world set apart. The country is a bounty of beauty that has to be seen to be believed. Her people, the Māori, are a proud and brave people. While others wondered if the world was flat, the Māori boldly set out from their native land, Hawaii, in their waka-horua, or canoes, and discovered paradise. When faced with invasion by the British hundreds of years later, they stood their ground and were able to resist for years. Today, the descendants of these courageous warriors make up almost 15% of New Zealand's population, and the art and cultural influences of the Māori remain throughout the country. It's no wonder that a favourite expression of the Māori and all the people of New Zealand is kia kaha, stay strong. Today, there is something more that the people of New Zealand can be proud of. Sydney Frank Importing Company is proud to present Kia Kaha, a unique Sauvignon Blanc from New Zealand. Kia Kaha is crisp and light, with aromas of wildflowers and flavours of green apple and citrus. Kia Kaha's specially selected grapes are grown on New Zealand's South Island in Marlborough, a region of picturesque plains framed by majestic mountains.
In winemaking, we have an expression, terroir, which literally means the bringing together of the soil, the climate, the grower's input to turn out this classic Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, Kia Kaha. Particularly for Sauvignon Blanc, it's the cool nights and the warm days. It's a marine climate, which we get lots of variances in the weather. The soils, they range enormously on the flats, from gravelly to right through to very heavy silt. We do a lot of work on the vines, shoot thinning and leaf plucking. Exposure to the light is very important. It takes a long time for the grapes to ripen here with cool nights, which all has a lot to do with the flavour and the end result, which is probably what makes Kia Kaha wine what it is.
Sydney Frank chose Cooper's Creek Winery to produce Kia Kaha. The award-winning winery sits in the heart of New Zealand's major metropolitan region, just north of Auckland on the North Island. Founded in 1980, Cooper's Creek produced the very highest quality wines, principally dry in style and reflecting New Zealand's outstanding cool climate viticultural conditions. Today, Cooper's Creek is still a family-owned winery that has enjoyed terrific success in New Zealand and abroad. Simon Nuns, who took over as winemaker with the 1998 vintage, has enhanced Cooper's Creek and its wines. And since his arrival, the winery has won a host of gold medals. Cooper's Creek is one of the most celebrated wineries in New Zealand.
We're targeting very specific vineyards in Marlborough and harvesting those vineyards, and the fruit is processed down there into juice, and the juice is tankered up to us here at our winery in Auckland. So once the juice arrives here, it's inoculated with our selected yeast strains and goes through the fermentation process. Once that fermentation process is finished, we can then assess the batches just to make sure they come up to the high standards that we were hoping they would. And once we're happy with the finished product, we then go ahead and assemble the wine, and the wine is then prepped for bottling. The bottling process is very simple. We have the wine sitting in a tank, and via a pump we transfer it into the filler head. Bottles will run along the conveyor to what is quite an exciting point, and that's where we put some carbon dioxide in the bottle, some dry ice, and that just creates a nice inert environment for us to bottle the wine into. The bottles then go on to the filler. They are filled with wine, and it just fills by gravity. Then the bottles get a screw cap applied to them, and then the bottles go off down the bottling line. They get a front label and a back label, and then the bottles are then packed into a box. the product is sunshine in a glass. It's just full of intensity, wonderful aromas. You've got a broad array of aromas and flavours as well. We've got things like, hints of bell pepper, hints of herbaceousness, gooseberry characters. We've also, we see some passion fruit flavours, we see nectarine flavours as well. So you get this wonderfully heady melange of all of those characters, and it's all, packaged in the bottle for you to enjoy.
To Sydney Frank.
Kia kaha.
The idea behind Sydney Frank Selections is to offer consumers a sampling of the world's finest wines. Sydney Frank and his wine experts travel the world seeking out the best wines available. Along the way, they are discovering rare finds and delicious gems. The wines found in the Sydney Frank Selection promise to be of outstanding quality, taste and value. They are the world's best, and Kia Kaha is our entry from New Zealand. Kia Kaha from Sydney Frank Selections. Exceptional wine from an exceptional man.